Hi, this is Rob. I'm going to go over how to use the continuous bracket drive mode and the single bracket drive mode to make a HDR photo like this one using the Sony A6000 camera. When you hold down the shutter button, the continuous bracket drive mode will shoot multiple images, 3 or 5 images, while automatically shifting the exposure from a base correct exposure, then a dark exposure to lighter exposures. Then you take these multiple exposures and import them into your HDR software to produce a HDR photo. You should be using some type of tripod when using the bracket drive modes. This way the photos will line up perfectly in your HDR software. Another thing you might want to use is an infrared remote shutter control, such as this Foto IR wireless shutter for Sony cameras. Please see my unboxing video of this device. I'll put a link in the description below. With this remote shutter control, you will prevent camera shake. Let's take a look on how to set up the bracket drive modes. Go to the menu here, go down to drive mode, hit enter. Go down to continuous bracket here. Just below is single bracket, and I will explain the difference later. Going back up to continuous bracket, let's take a closer look. The default setting is this one, 0.3 EV3. This means the camera will take 3 continuous photos, with one photo with correct exposure, the second photo 0.3 exposure value overexposed, and the third photo 0.3 exposure value underexposed. 0.3 exposure value is not very much difference in exposure value. I never use this setting for HDR photography. The next is 0.3 EV5. 5 continuous photos, 2 photos overexposed, shifted by 0.3 exposure values, and 2 photos underexposed, shifted by 0.3 exposure values, and 1 photo with correct exposure. Now that we know how to read these, let's look at the other options. 0.5 EV3, 0.5 EV5, 0.7 EV3, 0.7 EV5, 1.0 EV3, 2.0 EV3, and the last one on the Sony A6000 camera is 3.0 EV3. This is the one that I use for my HDR photography. On other Sony cameras there is a 3.0 EV5. If the Sony A6000 had 3.0 EV5, I would use that one for my HDR photography. Now we are back at the default setting of 0.3 EV3. Now let's use the continuous bracket drive mode with the wireless shutter remote. But first we need to set up the camera to receive the infrared signal. Go to the menu here, go down to remote control, hit enter, and choose on. That's it. The camera is ready to be used with the wireless shutter remote. All you have to do is press the button. You do not have to hold down the button. However, if you're not using the remote and are using the shutter button on the camera, you have to hold down the shutter button on the camera until all the photos are taken. Now let's look at the single bracket drive mode. The single bracket drive mode has all the same settings as the continuous drive mode. The only difference between the two is that with the single bracket, you have to press the shutter button or remote shutter each time for each photo. Here are 3 photos that I recently took with the continuous bracket drive mode with 3.0 EV3 setting. I usually use aperture priority with the aperture of 8.0 and an ISO of 100 when doing HDR photography with my Sony A6000 camera. And this is the result of those 3 photos after using HDR software. Okay, that's it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe to this channel.